if there was one answer to this, everyone would know it. But sometimes there isn't a way to just get over or tell yourself, how do you handle stress? You can't just be like, okay, let's take 3 deep breaths and then you're good. No, that doesn't. It's not that easy. Or hell, take a little more time and visualize where you're going to hit this shot. You can do that, but that doesn't mean you're going to execute it. It's such a case by case scenario of what works for you. For me, and it was just trying my best mentally to get to a point where I was okay with missing or losing.
It's Kirk Herbstreit.
Oh, Sean McVay.
Kerry Walsh Jennings.
Joey Logano. Ragazan.
John Isner.
Ryan Howard.
Greg McElroy.
Got Drew.
Chris Sale.
Mark DeRosa.
Cade Klubnik. Derek White.
Reese Davis.
Marty Smith.
Before we jump into today's episode, I want to tell you about Booster. If you got kids playing sports in middle school or high school, Booster is the easiest way to raise money for their team. From uniforms and equipment to travel expenses, Booster makes fundraising simple and fun for schools and sports programs. Check them out at choosebooster.com. That's choosebooster.com, or just click the link in our description to see how your team can boost their fundraising this season.
Welcome back to Pure Athlete. I am Jeff, along with Brad and Britt. Guys, how are we doing today?
Doing great. Excited about this show.
I knew that this would be the most excited. So, look, we love tennis. I watch it.
Yeah, I do too. But you throw the pickleball angle in here now. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know if
we're going to get a little bit of probably a fanboy over here.
It's going to be a one-on-one interview probably.
So, Brett, I'm going to let you introduce today. I'm giving you the opportunity to introduce today's guest.
Well, we're building our tennis chops here. We had Lindsay recently, and today we've got, one of the best American players over the past couple decades. Sam Querrey, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Fellow podcaster too, right? I mean, he's a pro.
Oh man, Sam is.
I feel a lot of pressure.
We're gonna ask you all about this, but yeah, he's
rival pod.
I don't know.
We would love to be called a rival.
I think you guys are probably up above us.
But I think your pod is what? Nothing major, right?
Yeah, I got the hat on right now. Nothing
I
major.
love
It's me, John Isner, Jack Sock, and Steve Johnson. We never won a major, so that's kind of the play on words there.
I love it.
Well, your podcast is really fun to listen to. You guys, you have some pretty interesting takes yourself on that podcast. We may get into some of those.
Well, ours is Pure Athlete because obviously we're all really high elite athletes.
Right? Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Yeah. It's not about us.
Oh man.
Well, I didn't do a really good job on his intro. I mean, Sam was 11 in the world at his peak in singles.
Played 16 years on the tour, right? I think.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of 10 ATP wins?
10 titles, yeah. 10
titles. Yeah, not 10 wins, 10 titles. Thank you for the clarification. But hey, you tell me, beat Murray, beat Djokovic, beat Nadal. I didn't see. I was looking back through your stats. How many times did you play Roger?
I played Roger 5 times and was 0-5. Never, out of all the big names, he was the one guy I never beat and never got more than 4 games in a set against him.
Wow.
Yeah, he just absolutely dominated me.
Yeah. Well,
we all have those guys. Like I was 0 for 100 exactly. Off Roy Halladay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one who was just getting crushed by Roger, so I don't feel that bad.
Yeah,
you're in good company.
You got a lot of company.
Sometimes you go back and you're like, man, I got beat 6-4, 6-4, 6-4. I did better than anybody else did.
Totally.
Hey, the other thing is, Sam, you're now, and these guys are joking about it because they don't play pickleball. We play a little pickleball in my family. You're now on the pro pickleball circuit. What's that like?
So yes and no. So when I retired from tennis, I did join pro pickleball. Kind of like there was no tennis players that came over. I was, I guess, kind of the first tennis guy that jumped over and played pickleball after retiring from tennis. I didn't leave tennis to go play pickleball. And it was fun to be a part of the sport. It was growing, which obviously everyone knows about the last couple of years, last 3-4 years. But then about 16 months ago, I tore my Achilles playing pickleball.
Oh, wow.
And so then I didn't play for all of a year. I've been playing a little bit lately, but I'm actually only playing one more pro pickleball tournament. And then I guess you would call it retiring from pickleball, because I've been doing a lot more broadcasting. And so, my final tournament is early November in Dallas, and then I'm hanging up the pickleball paddles.
Britt,
Britt, are you going to kick
that
them
took
off
like
now?
7 of your questions right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll still talk about pickleball.
have you taken a lot of grief? Because there's a lot of tension between tennis players and pickleball players.
No, I haven't. I think the tension is like the tennis players, at least the other pros, like when I was kind of first playing pickleball, the pro tennis players were all kind of interested. Like, oh, how is it? Like, are you good at it? Does it cross over? And like the pickleball players, they were the ones that were a little, I don't know, salty about everything.
They don't want you in the
tennis guy
landscape,
coming over. Yeah, tennis guy coming over. You think you're just going to dominate the sport.
And it's like, I am.
I didn't, but there have some, like Jack Sox come over. He's really good. Jeannie Bouchard, who used to play tennis, she's come over. She's good. So there are a handful of tennis players that retired from tennis, went over to pickleball, and quickly, within a year became, a top 15, top 10 player.
Yeah. Well, may get you in trouble here, but it aren't most of the top pickleball players just tennis players who didn't make it?
Yes, every pickleball player is a failed tennis player. Every single one. That's from the pros.
Hey, clip that.
Pros
that's right there. That's
rec.
a clip right there.
That's a clip.
That's a drop the mic.
right there.
I love it.
They are getting to the point, though, now, a lot of the really good pro pickleball players, they might have played some junior tennis, and then now you're seeing a lot more 16, 17, 18-year-olds like focus full-time on pickleball. If you go back 4 or 5 years ago, it was a lot of players that played college tennis and then went into pickleball. But because pickleball is so mainstream now, you're seeing a lot more junior players play it and kind of you really pick pickleball from a younger age.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of junior players, we want to go back to your time as a junior player and just explore. You grew up in California. Can you just tell us a little bit about your journey as a young athlete? What did that look like?
Yeah, young athlete. So I grew up in California. When I was 5, probably, my family moved to Santa Rosa in Northern California. And the house we lived in was down the street from a tennis and swim club. And that's kind of how I got my start in tennis. My parents joined it to meet friends or people in the neighborhood. And so I would go down there and join in like the little kid clinics where we'd play hide and go seek and then go play tennis for an hour and then go have snacks. And so that was how I got introduced to tennis. I also played, at 5, 6, 7, 8, up till 14. I played soccer. I played baseball. I played football. I played golf. I played basketball until I was a freshman in high school. All that time was playing tennis as well, and was always, out of all those sports, I was the best at tennis. It naturally, for whatever reason, kind of just suited me most. And I was doing well as a junior. I started playing junior tennis tournaments in the 8 and under divisions, and then the 10 and unders, and the 12 and unders, and the 14 and unders, and would win a lot of the national tournaments. But at the same time, when I was doing those, I was still playing a lot of the other sports, not as full time. Basketball, I'd play the one season and then not play after that. Baseball, I would play the season when I was 13 and then not play for 8 months. But I was always playing tennis consistently throughout the year. And a big part of that probably was I was the best at tennis of all those sports. And I think when you're a young athlete and you're 11, 12, 13, I was winning a lot of tennis matches. And it's probably more fun when you're 11 and you're winning a lot to like keep playing that sport. And so that was why I liked tennis the most, probably. And then at 14, that's kind of when I made that decision. All right, I'm out of all these sports, I'm the best at tennis. Time to kind of maybe focus on tennis a little more. Let's just do this now. College, I mean, it's crazy to think, but colleges, at the time you're 14, 15, might start to reach out to you. And so then it was all tennis from 14 on. And then luckily there was a great coach, this Australian coach, Grant Doyle, who moved at this time I was living in Southern California. He had just retired from the ATP Tour, took a job at the club I was at, and he really kind of helped me take my game to the next level and introduced me to international tennis tournaments and things of that nature. And then I just started practicing every day and started to take a little more serious. And that's how I kind of got to the next level and became one of the best juniors.
Do you think that, Sam, because you kind of it sounds like you're an outlier because you hear about, especially in tennis, you hear about kids starting so young and specializing in tennis. Do you think it added to your success by kind of waiting as long as you did before you focused on it?
Yeah. And at the time I wasn't an outlier. I just turned 38. If you go to guys like John Isner, who you guys have had on, Steve Johnson, Jack Sock, myself, even going back to like Andy Roddick, James Blake, all of those guys in that era, they did play other sports. Maybe not until 14, but at least till 12 or so. It's really just, I feel like the current generation, guys who are 25 and younger, they seem to specifically pick a sport at 8 and stick with it. But yeah, I feel like playing those other sports, playing baseball, throwing pitches, probably helped me with my serve. Playing basketball, playing soccer probably helped with my footwork and my balance and just pure athleticism on the court. So I think it was beneficial to my tennis career that I played the other sports.
And I think another thing, and I'm sure you could talk about it, but kind of probably kept you from burning out too, right? Like you got to high school, you kind of knew what you wanted. And I always talk about this, like golf and tennis are the two sports. And I love golf. I play all the time. My brother played just golf, and he ended up burning out his sophomore year in college. He played in college and just was done, but I feel like playing one sport at such a young age and, like tennis and golf, how much it's not really a team sport. You're more yourself. Right. Like I would imagine those burnout numbers get high.
I think for sure. And I was still somewhat, I went to normal school. During spring break, my family would go on a vacation somewhere. I wouldn't play tennis for 6 days, and you would think nothing of it. I played high school tennis, so I did get a little bit of that like team atmosphere on the tennis court, even though, like you're saying, it's an individual sport. And I actually continued, even when I was playing tennis, top 20 in the world, my workouts, I wasn't someone that naturally liked to work out and go to the gym. I would constantly be doing workouts where it'd be, all right, we're going to do 20 basketball layups and then a ladder drill and go out and catch a football pass. And then we're going to score 10 soccer goals. And so I would always play the other sports, even when I was playing tennis, not at a elite level where I was going to get hurt, but just to keep things fun and still not get burnt out from tennis.
I love that you said that you play high school tennis. And I know Jack Sock, played high school tennis. I don't remember if Isner did or not. I don't remember him. He did play high school tennis?
Yeah.
But so much today, kids are discouraged from playing high school tennis because coaches and academies are saying, oh, it's just going to hurt your game because you're not doing great competition. My boys, their best experience in tennis, one of their best experiences was high school tennis because of the team aspect. And they just had fun as opposed to just the grind that, weekend tournaments and practicing every day and all that was.
Yeah, I'll say this. I don't know how good your boys were at high school tennis. If you're a good junior like myself or Jack or John, high school tennis is the biggest waste of time on the planet.
For sure.
It is fun. Like the bus rides were great. I never went to a practice. I didn't play all the matches. I only played against the other good schools. And that's what John and Jack, and if you're a good competitive high level junior tennis player, unfortunately you can't play high school tennis. It's not like football and basketball where you're playing all the other good kids. There's just the competition isn't there. It is a waste for good players. But like you just said, I played my freshman year and sophomore year limited matches, and I had a really good time.
So you talk about obviously you're 6'6". When did you we talk a lot about puberty and, when you really kind of take that next stop. Were you always one of the taller kids or did you develop later?
Always one of the taller kids. I never had that year where I grew 6 inches.
Yeah.
I was always just the tallest kindergartner, first grade, second grade, with everyone. And so, which was probably a blessing. I never had that weird growth spurt. It was like, oh, my knees hurt or my back hurt or my feet hurt. It was like luckily kind of had that gradual growth, until I was 6'6", and that helped me with sports too. I was always a little taller, a little like more, just naturally had ability in kind of whatever sport I was playing because I never had that crazy growth spurt.
Sam, when it came down for you had to make a decision, how hard a decision was it to skip college and go pro?
It wasn't hard, luckily. I was going to go ultimately when I was 17, I signed to go to USC, University of Southern California, who at the time had the best tennis program in America. They had won a handful of national championships. They had a great team. They were number one in the nation. So I was from Southern California. It was a natural fit. I was going to go there. And then that summer before school started, I'm not sure how much the audience knows about tennis, but I play these challenger level tournaments, which would be like AAA baseball or the G League in basketball. And I had won 3 of those challenger level tournaments. And by the time school would have started, I was probably ranked 120 in the world. And at that time, if you're 18, ranked 120 in the world, was a top 10 junior in the world, you get pretty lucrative contracts. At the time, for me, it was Adidas and Prince. And then a few short months later, I was top 100 in the world. So it was almost a blessing that I did so well. Obviously, I wasn't hovering around 300 in the world where it was that tough decision of like, should I go to college? Should I go pro? It was such an obvious choice that it wasn't difficult.
Sam, I don't know how tuned in you are to the current state of junior tennis. I'd imagine you are. What are your thoughts on, I mean, we still today, like 7 out of the top 10 players are Europeans, and we have 2 U.S. guys. And what's causing that? What do you think about U.S. junior tennis and what we ought to do different?
I don't know. We've been asked that question for like 20 years.
I bet.
I mean, look, at the same time, we have 2 guys in the top 10.
You do.
And on the women's side, we have 4 women in the top 10. I mean, you can go to every other country. You can go to Australia and be like, why do you only have 1 guy in the top 10? You go to South Africa. Why do you have 1 guy in the top 100? Spain has Carlos Alcaraz. He's phenomenal, obviously, but they only have 1 guy in the top 10. So I don't have a great answer for that, but I do think that the men's and women's game, especially the women's game, like we are doing great in tennis in the U.S. We do have so many options here. I feel like when I'm here, football, baseball, basketball, lacrosse, swimming, you name it, so many of these options where I spent a ton of my life in Europe and other places playing tennis. People, they play soccer and they play tennis. Like no one's playing football, no one's playing baseball, no one's playing lacrosse or some of these other sports. They're just tennis and football. By football, I mean soccer. Just dominate the 2 choices of sports for young athletes in most other countries. So I guess that would be like maybe one of my answers, but I also think we're doing great right now. So sometimes that narrative gets a little, that narrative is just brought up too often. Like because we don't win majors, it's like, oh, why are we doing so poorly? Well, we're doing pretty good.
I think about that all the time. Like I've always said this to soccer argument, right? Every year the World Cup comes, we don't do well. And I'm like, imagine putting Tyreek Hill at the age of 10 years old out on the soccer field and telling him you're going to develop the next 8 years. I think it would end different.
Like we'd be vying for World Cups. We'd be vying for World Cups.
I'm with you, man. So it's so different.
Yeah.
We talk a lot on here about the relationships with kids and their parents, right? Going through youth sports, man. You have the overbearing parents yelling at their kids all the time. You have the ones that don't care, So what was your kind of dynamic with your parents growing up?
My parents are the best. My parents, but my dad played baseball in college and was drafted by the Tigers. So he had a high level background in sports.
Yep.
I mean, basically my parents just wanted me to try hard and have fun. If they were schlepping me to junior tournaments on the weekends and I was 12 years old and we lived in Thousand Oaks and we were going to drive an hour and 15 minutes down to Orange County, my parents said, let's do it. I'll come support you. I'll drive you down there. I do need you to try hard when we're down there. They were never overbearing. They just wanted to make sure that I was, again, enjoying myself, working hard, so supportive. And that continued from juniors all the way through my professional career. Even when I was, 22 years old and ranked 20 in the world, my parents would probably come to 7-8 tournaments a year around the world. They weren't sitting on the practice court, but, they enjoyed watching. My dad, I feel like every few months might call my coach at the time to check in and be like, hey, how's he doing? Is he listening? Is he working hard? Is he doing all the right things? But I couldn't ask for better sports parents growing up.
There is one person and one person only who will define your kid's dreams, and that's your kid.
If you want something, like, you have to work for it. Your ability to counter a weapon is paramount to your game development.
Or just losing perspective on what youth sports are really about.
Teach your kid the value of winning, but not at all costs.
Get a lot of questions on when an athlete should start strength training.
If your athlete follows my protocol, they are going to have better energy than ever before.
It can't come to you when you're born and say, you got character. You got to build that.
You can win, but if you're not really impacting lives, I think you lose.
I watched the Netflix special on professional tennis, and I was talking to Britt about this. It was on the same time that Full Swing was, the golf documentary, and it just portrayed a really, really hard life. That was the impression I got. I mean, is that it just would look like a struggle. It looked like a tough existence to be in that. And the folks they portrayed obviously were kind of on the cusp. But two questions. One is, I mean, do you think that hurt tennis's popularity a little bit? And then second of all, did you struggle? Did you have those type of struggles where you're out there, in a foreign country by yourself and you're trying to break through and things like that?
First question, no. Tennis seems like it's more popular than ever right now, and that's without Federer and Nadal.
Yep.
When you look at the and Alcaraz and Sinner are so monumental in that. But if you look at the numbers for Roland Garros and Wimbledon and the U.S. Open, they're getting huge numbers of people watching it, more fans through the gates than ever before. So tennis is thriving. As far as did I struggle with that? Yes, tennis is an individual sport, but especially at the top level, everyone's got a coach and a trainer and a physiotherapist. So you have a team with you. You are out on the court by yourself. You can coach on the court now. There were times that, yes, I would maybe get burnt out a little bit late in the year. You've been playing for 10 months. It's October. You're over playing in Asia or in Europe at the end of the year. And you're just like, gosh, you know what? If I lose right now,
I'm not going to.
It's all right. I get to go home. And that's not tennis specific. I'm sure in every sport, if you're playing baseball and your team's 30 games out of making the playoffs, there's 10 games left. How locked in are you?
It's July. You're already having plans to go to Cancun in October.
Totally. In the NBA, team's 20 and 53. All right, let's fire up for today's game. But look, tennis is tough, but it's not tougher or less tougher than every other sport. I know the travel's a lot, but most of the top players are traveling business class. You're playing tournaments in Melbourne, Tokyo, Shanghai, Miami, Rome. You're in the best cities in the world, staying in amazing hotels, going to and playing in amazing venues. But yes, there's definitely some burnt out toward the end of the season for all players in tennis, but that's all sports.
You and Jeff have a little bit in common in that you both finished your careers and went into broadcasting. How are you enjoying broadcasting? You seem to be ramping up and doing more and more stuff with TNT and ESPN and Tennis Channel and, you name it. How are you enjoying that?
I love it. I didn't know I was going to love it. And I mentioned earlier I tore my Achilles. Maybe that's a blessing in disguise because I tore my Achilles. I'm sitting down doing nothing. It's a brutal injury, as you guys know. And that's kind of where I started dipping into I'm in a boot. Let's go down to Tennis Channel and do some broadcasting days. And then I started the podcast with the guys, which is not broadcasting, but it's somewhat like broadcasting. And then I kind of got my opportunity at TNT and Roland Garros to be on the main desk for 2 straight weeks. And that was where it kind of took off for me. And TNT, they were the ones that kind of gave me that big opportunity. Hey, let's come over. I like what you're doing on the podcast. I've seen a little bit of your work on Tennis Channel. We just got the rights to the French Open on TNT. And I was on the main desk for 2 straight weeks in every segment. It was very much we're throwing you in. Let's see what you got. And it worked out well. And then ESPN, I guess, saw it and then got picked up at Wimbledon and the U.S. Open. And I do a handful of days at Tennis Channel when I'm home, which is, about 45 minutes from my house. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm really liking it. It is something I feel like that you, to an extent, you have or you don't. You can get way better. I feel like I've gotten way better in the last 6 months. I don't feel like it's a a job where you could take someone that can't do it and be like, all right, I'm gonna take this athlete and turn him into a broadcaster. It's got to be a little bit with you to an extent.
I know this, man. TNT did the same for me. I just got done calling my 7th championship series with Brian Anderson. Same thing, man. I was out 2 years and they were like, just threw you in there, man. And I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I will tell you this, there's something cool being able to talk about the sport you love, bring a different perspective. And, you know, I know TNT did a great, dude, I've heard nothing but great reviews from all the players about the job they did over in Roland Garros. And I know they're talking about getting the Australian Open. And, you know, my partner who you met, Brian Anderson, who I do all the baseball, I mean, he got a chance to call that Alcaraz Center final. And he was like, it was the cool, and that was crazy because he's done all these big games. He was like, those are the coolest 5 hours I've ever done.
Yeah. That was one of the best matches of all time. That. There's an argument that it was the best match that I've ever seen. And it was just incredible. And again, like credit to Brian Anderson, like you're saying, not a tennis guy came in and you wouldn't have known he wasn't a tennis guy. And that's probably the biggest compliment I can give to him. And for me too, it's helped me for when I stopped playing tennis, I followed tennis and was watching the majors. But I had to, you know, when you start broadcasting now, I wake up, I kind of throw on Tennis Channel because I need to know what's going on in the Paris Masters Series and the tournaments in Basel and Vienna. And you kind of, when I'm driving in the car, I'm collecting my thoughts of like, all right, like today, I'm actually going down to Tennis Channel, film a daily show. You got to start kind of coming up with little sayings and ideas and things you're going to talk about. And I just find myself in the car being like, oh, that's a kind of a good take on that.
Yeah, Brian Anderson told me though he just wanted to make sure he didn't piss off McEnroe and get a left hook. And
that's tough to do.
So Brett, we haven't been discovered yet. I mean, he got discovered off his. Now he played professional tennis and was very successul. But he said they looked at his podcast and said it was amazing. I don't understand why. I don't think Jeff's helping us out much.
I think I understand.
I think he's threatened a little
Sorry,
bit.
guys.
You see the work we do here, and I think you kind of get a little bit nervous that we may come in and steal some of the thunder on TNT. But were you more nervous that first time on camera or versus playing tennis? How did it compare?
Oh, on camera for sure, broadcasting. Because tennis, and Jeff, you maybe know, like I knew what I was bringing to the court too. Yep. I've been practicing all the time. I know my level of tennis walking out of the court. Yes, I've done some broadcasting, but like day one on TNT at Roland Garros, you're like, all right, let's go. I don't really know what to expect. I've been I'd started watching a ton of tennis and knowing stuff, but I was so nervous, and especially when Adam Lefkoe's hosting the desk, which is awesome. Baby. But to my right, it would be like John McEnroe, Jim Courier, and then Andre Agassi. Like, what am I doing up here? Like, when am I supposed to come in and say something? Like, hey, Johnny Mac, I hear what you're saying, but I think you're wrong on that.
Dude, it's so true. I did the studio a few weeks ago, so I wouldn't have to actually travel out to L.A., and was on with Lefko and them, and it was Pedro Martinez, right? And I'm like, am I supposed to like talk about how this guy's supposed to throw a fastball with Pedro sitting right here? It's like, you know, shut up. But it is fun, man, and I do appreciate you talking about it but I think what's cool is like, okay, you talk about the certain guys that were there, and I always said this with my profession, like, man, I was at the high of the highs at times and lows of lows. So I think at the same time for you can feel what a lot of these players, whether you're sitting there winning the big match or disappointment, like you kind of know what that feels like. And I think that's probably why you're good at what you do.
Yeah. And I'm still I'm newly enough retired that 70% of the players I've actually played against them still and hit with them. So I can kind of give that real life sense of like, oh, this is what their rally ball is like, or this is their tendencies on big points.
You know, we talk a lot, Sam, about like the mental side. And I can imagine in tennis, golf like that, how big it is. You know, what were some of the things for the kids listening, for parents listening, that you kind of did to help you get through certain times of adversity or failure?
Gosh, I hate that question. It's such a tough question, you know, like there's no answer for that. And it's harder. There was times that honestly, I didn't handle it well. There was a lot of times where there was pressure and adversity and I got tentative and I missed shots and I would get scared and not do the right thing. I honestly probably did that more than the other thing, which would be like, all right, just put it behind you and hit out to big targets. You know, all you can do is tell yourself, not all you can do, there's more, but like, you know, I feel like the best advice I would give is if you can get to the point where you're okay with losing, that's like when you would play your best and free up the most. If I got to the point where I'm like, I'm okay if I hit out on this shot, I'm nervous, I'm going to go for my shot, and if I miss it, I'm okay. That is the best advice I can give in moments of stress and anxiety. But it's really tough. There's not, if there was one answer to this, everyone would know it, but sometimes there isn't a way to just get over or tell yourself, how do you handle stress? You can't just be like, okay, let's take 3 deep breaths and then you're good. No, that doesn't, it's not that easy. Or hell, take a little more time and visualize where you're going to hit this shot. You can do that, but that doesn't mean you're going to execute it. It's such a case by case scenario of what works for you. For me, and it was just trying my best mentally to get to a point where I was okay with missing or losing.
So speaking of all that, Sam, is there a match that you just wish you could go back and have a do-over on?
Yes. The U.S. Open 2017 in the quarterfinals, I played Kevin Anderson. Maybe not a do-over. Kevin Anderson was a fantastic player. Got to 4 in the world, made the couple finals of majors. But going into that match, I was playing really well. It was the best year of my career. Played Kevin Anderson in the in the quarterfinals. So we were 8-8 total. We had a good rivalry. But the winner of that match was going to play Pablo Carreño Busta in the semifinals. We already knew that because he had won. And there was no way whoever was winning that was going to lose to Pablo Carreño Busta, no offense to him, in the semifinals.
No offense.
And the winner of that was mostly going to play Rafael Nadal in the finals, which is what happened. And I had beaten Nadal already earlier that year. So in my head, I'm like, all right, if I could beat Kevin Anderson, like I'm going to beat Pablo Carreño Busta. And then I already beat Nadal earlier in this year. There was one time in my life, I'll admit it, that I felt that I could actually win a major, and it was the 2017 U.S. Open. There was no other time where I went into a major and actually believed that I could win it. I didn't believe that I would, along the way, be able to beat Federer and then Djokovic and then Nadal, but that was that one time, and I lost to Kevin in 4 sets, and I didn't choke, I didn't do anything wrong. Kevin was just a great player himself, but that's the one match I wish I could have won just because on the other side of it, it was like, all right, you never know. Maybe that was the time that you could get close to a major.
Well, in 2 of those sets you lost were tie breaks, right?
Exactly, yeah. It was not a 5-setter, but a 4-setter, and just as close as can be.
I don't know if you ever did this. In baseball, sometimes I would always look at some of the elite guys. Obviously, uber talented, did things I couldn't do, but even like trying to dissect what they did, what made them great, what they ticked. Like when you used to play Nadal and Federer and Djokovic, like what made, obviously I know so talented, but what were some things that they did that made them stand out even more?
They were all different. So for Rafa, it was that intensity. You knew that if you were in a game and it was 40-love, he's going to make you earn the next point. Or even sometimes Federer would be like, I'll try to do like a little drop shot or something funny. Rafa was just locked in mentally every single point for 17 years. He didn't take a point off ever. It was nuts. Federer was more of just crafting. Federer, I always got a little more nervous. He was like just such a big name. Anytime you played him, you walked on the court and you were just nervous and you're a little uneasy. But he was a little more of that chess player where you just knew, like for me, he was going to expose my weakness a little bit. And he was really good at that. And then Novak, sometimes his level was just so high that sometimes you would lock in against Novak and you'd play a few points and you're like, I'm going to lose. Like he's he's locked in early right now. But those 3 are just, like I said, they're all so different and they would do things differently, but they were, and you always play them in the big moments. You didn't play Federer, on a smaller turnaround
in Cincinnati on a Saturday afternoon.
Right. You played him at like Wimbledon or the French Open, or maybe if you played him in Cincy, you did, but it was like the night match on center court and the whole crowd wanted him to win. You just never, all 3 of those guys, it was tough to get comfortable at any moment.
Yeah.
I'm curious. You talked about, you just talked about going out there and Djokovic being locked in after a few points and it being like, oh, I'm not going to win. Well, I mean, you're a top player, 11 in the world. Those guys, seem to be on a different tier, but you beat 3 of them. So, what was your mentality typically going out and playing those guys? Did you have belief Could that belief go away quickly? But at least 3 times you conquered those guys. Talk about that.
Yeah, so I would say playing those guys, I had a bit, like, I knew my level of tennis was high when I was playing well. I'd beaten a handful of top 5 players, top 10 players. I always felt like it was important if you're playing a Federer, Nadal, or Djokovic, or a Murray, you didn't necessarily not have belief. You had to build the belief when you were playing. It was key to start a match and, like, all right, can you get to 1-1 and then 2-2 and then 3-3? And the belief would grow a little bit with each game. Where it got tricky was if right out of the gate, Djokovic held serve and then he broke you and then he held serve and then it was 3-0 and then all of a sudden you're serving it's love 30. And then the doubts creep into your head like, am I going to lose 6-0 right now in front of 20,000 people? Because that's so embarrassing. So it's so important to try your best, which is obvious, but like for me, those first 2 or 3 service games, like just get on the board and gain some belief. I feel like you could gain it during the match because as much as you want to say, like, yeah, I believe I can beat Novak in like a semifinal of a major. Like, do you really? Like, I feel like people just say that a lot of time. Yeah, I believe I can win the tournament. Like, if I put you on a lie detector test, there's no way that guys felt that they could win Wimbledon with those 3 guys in the draw.
Yeah.
So you build the belief as you were playing.
I love that. That's so authentic.
It's because it's true.
Yeah.
I completely, it's like 12, 13 baseball teams every year go to spring training, and it's like you truly don't believe you're making the playoffs. Your team sucks.
Right? Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like
are the New York Jets right now? They're 1-7. Hey guys, we spin off 9 in a row. Maybe we make the playoffs.
They still believe.
There's no shot.
Yeah.
There's no shot.
If they play the Falcons.
They got the Falcons coming up. They can believe in that game.
Yeah.
What I want to do kind of a little fun, little rapid fire just for a minute. What was your favorite match you ever played?
Favorite match I ever played was beating Djokovic at Wimbledon. At the time, he had won U.S. Open, Australian Open, French Open, and he was going for Wimbledon to hold all 4. He was number 1 in the world. And to do it at Wimbledon, like Wimbledon's the tournament that everyone knows. If you say U.S. Open, you got to be like U.S. Open of tennis. Where Wimbledon, people know like that is tennis. And so that's probably, when people ask like best tennis moment, that was probably my best one and my most favorite.
Is it hard though? Sorry, and I'll get back to the few questions, but is it hard like when you beat him because you want to celebrate and do this, but to know you got to do it again in about 36 hours?
Yeah, one of my most proudest moments was the match after that. I beat Nicolas Mahut, who, if you're a tennis enthusiast, you know who that is. Good player, good grass court player. I beat him in straight sets on a much smaller court the next round, which goes untalked about. But to your point, like that a lot of times like was a bigger moment than almost beating Novak because you could easily win that, celebrate, do all the interviews, and then go out next round.
Yeah. What was your favorite venue to play at?
Wimbledon. Wimbledon might be my answer to every question you ask right now.
It's like the Masters. Yeah, that's
totally. There's not a blade of grass out of place. There's ivy growing on the walls. And one of the best things about it is how hard the ticket is to get. Even as a player, if you weren't on center court or court 1, you're on court 5. They'd be like, you have 2 tickets on your match day. That is it. Now, sometimes your agent, would help you finagle your way into some more. But I had times when I had family and friends come over. I'm like, you can come over. I'm not going to guarantee you a ticket. And there were times where on certain days I played, they could not get a ticket. But that's also what makes it so great. It's such that upper echelon of like, oh my gosh, you were able to get into the grounds, and that made it that much better. And there's another thing I love about Wimbledon on center court, there's no luxury boxes. So it's not corporate. So you feel like everyone who's in the stadium like seeked out a ticket, paid for the ticket, and they're intelligent, like true tennis fans.
Nice. I love that.
It's not, no offense to JP Morgan. It's not 30 clients from JP Morgan at the US Open in having drinks and cocktails, kind of watching a match, kind of not.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about a night match at the US Open though? Is that a blast?
It's a blast if you win. I mean, there's been some night matches like, if you lose a night match and you're not playing well, it's kind of brutal because the fans can get on you a little bit.
Yeah.
But yes, night match. I got to play 2 night matches on Arthur Ashe Stadium, and there's nothing better. It's the biggest stadium in the world. There's something about you're the only match going on at the time, and everyone's watching. It's an unreal. It's maybe the best experience in tennis.
I mean, it's so crazy. We were talking to Lindsay about this because Ben played in some junior tournaments with my boys, and he was a good junior player, but I mean, never in your wildest dreams would you have expected, he goes to college for 2 years and just, I mean, his talent just explodes, and he gets a lot taller and all those types of things as well. But it's crazy how good he's gotten so quick.
Yeah, that's a once in a generation type of story. Guys don't just go from college. Usually, the best players don't even go to college. First of all, he went to college, left it, and then you blinked, and he was ranked 15 in the world. You might not see that again for a couple decades.
I saw you play. You played a lot of doubles, really good doubles players. I saw you in Isner in an exhibition right here at Atlanta Athletic Club against the Bryans, and it was just for fun, and it was a fun night. I'm curious if you're playing at your highest level and John or maybe Jack Sock, but y'all are playing doubles against the Bryans at their peak level. What's that competition look like? Who wins that match?
What a brutal question. So Isner and I played the Bryans 15 times.
Oh, did you? Okay.
We were 0-15.
Wow. That's a brutal question.
I had beat them. Steve Johnson and I beat them once or twice, lost to them. I had a couple other wins against the Bryans. Oddly enough, Isner and I were 0-15 against the Bryan brothers.
So it sounds like it's John's fault. So just throw it on him.
Yeah.
You beat them.
The Bryan brothers are, the Bryan brothers just were put in the Hall of Fame a couple months ago. They're the best doubles team ever. I will say that the doubles players are great. There's the Bryans, and then it drops way down, and there's all the other doubles players. Doubles and singles is a different sport. The quality, sounds like I'm ripping the doubles players, which I kind of am, but it's just needs to be talked about. But and they're excellent at their skill. The doubles guys have perfected their skill so much. The difference between a Taylor Fritz and a Casper Ruud or an Alexander Zverev and a doubles guy right now ranked 1, 2, 3 in the world is monumental. The quality of singles player is just so different than doubles. Having said that, the Bryan brothers are so good at doubles and are amazing, but there's this kind of inner war right now with singles and doubles on the tour, because none of the top singles players play doubles anymore. You used to have a lot of top singles players play doubles occasionally, and now it's zero.
Yeah.
Sinner, Alcaraz, Fritz, Zverev, they'll go seasons where they don't play a doubles match ever. There's too much on the line in singles. I mean, if you're playing it in Roland Garros or the Wimbledon, you need the day off. Am I going to go out and play an irrelevant doubles match, or I'm going to give my body 30 hours to recover and play a singles match that's worth 1,000 points and $3 million? It's like a no-brainer.
Or if you're Alcaraz, every off day he plays golf with Sergio Garcia.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I see. It's
that sounds better too.
My final question for you is, you talked about your parents, and how they were. What's your advice to parents, to kids today, of some of these young, not just in tennis, but in youth sports in general?
Yeah, I have 2 boys, so I'm starting to get into that world. They're 5 and 4. They're still pretty young. But you do see some of the parents start to stress if their 4-year-old's not getting hits and T-ball and whatnot. It's pretty basic for me. If the kids are having fun and enjoying it, keep doing it. Try all the sports. I mean, I really don't think you can put too much emphasis on how good or bad a young athlete is, maybe until they're 10 or 11 years old. I see parents with their 6 and 7-year-olds on both sides, oh, they're not very good. Well, just things can change when they're 9 and 10 years old. Or little Johnny at 7 is on his 5th All-Star team. Well, he also might be terrible in 3 years and not like it.
Yep.
I do feel like as a parent, I wouldn't judge the ability either way of my kid playing their sport until the age of 10 or 11. Then it's okay, you know what? You're actually not that good at baseball. Let's go try basketball or soccer or art or music or something like that. But again, if the kids are happy and enjoying it, let them keep doing it for however long they want to, even if they're not good at it.
Great stuff, man. Hey, we really appreciate you being with us today. Love your podcast. For folks in our audience. It's a super fun podcast with the 4 of you guys kind of bantering back and forth, and best of luck.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out more videos from us right here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a thing. Follow us on social media at Pure Athlete Inc. for even more content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.